When you look at the crowds today, you have maybe 5,000-6,000 people here. On the streets yesterday, 1 million people, 1 million Iranians in the street for the Ayatollah Khomeini. Does that not give you concern? Does that not make you afraid?
Because they are afraid, yeah, that's right. And most of the people don't say anything because they are afraid. And they are in silence, you know, they don't say anything.
Is this the silent majority of Iran out here now?
Yes, that's right.
Do you want the Shah to return?
Yes, Shah, return to the country.
Why do you want the Shah? Why does she want the
ما شاه میخوایم ما بیچاره این
شادی کشتنش حلاله کجای قرآن گفته
"47 years we've been bleeding in the dark, under the shadow of the Islamic regime, with a stone-cold heart. They silenced our voices, they turned off our light. 58 days without internet, but we still fought the night. Our children took the streets, they raised their empty hands, and the world looked away. Do you understand? Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? 42,000 souls are gone, killed in 2 days by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? that's all it took. Mothers and fathers and sons, did you even look? We stand with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, our hope and voice. Millions behind him marching, he is our only choice. He only fights for freedom, democracy and human rights. But you mock him in your chambers while he fights for our lives, to pull us out of this darkness, this century-long night, while you sign deals with our killers and call it diplomatic right. Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? They hang 60-40 souls one by one, hanged within 4 months by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? Do you feel anything at all? Or did something break inside you while I ran answered the call? Do you know Europe? What happened to you, Europe? What made you so cold? What turned your heart to stone while our story went untold? Is oil worth more than blood? Is silence worth the shame? Because while you negotiate with murderers, we are dying, calling your name. Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? 42,000 souls are gone, killed in 2 days by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? We are still here. We are still strong. Do you know Europe? How much longer? How much longer? How long? Do you know Europe?
To all of our friends around the world, under the yoke of the Islamic Republic, Iran is identified in your minds with terrorism, extremism, and poverty. The real Iran is a different Iran, a beautiful, peace-loving, and flourishing Iran. It is the Iran that existed before the Islamic Republic, and it is the Iran that will rise again from its ashes the day the Islamic Republic falls. So let me be clear about how a free Iran will act towards its neighbors and the world after the fall of this regime. In security and foreign policy, Iran's nuclear military program will end. Support for terrorist groups will cease immediately. A free Iran will work with regional and global partners to confront terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, and extremist Islamism. Iran will act as a friend and a stabilizing force in the region, and it will be a responsible partner in global security. In diplomacy, relations with the United States will be normalized, and our friendship with America and her people will be restored. The State of Israel will be recognized immediately. We will pursue the expansion of the Abraham Accords into the Cyrus Accords, bringing together a free Iran, Israel, and the Arab world. A new chapter will begin, grounded in mutual recognition, sovereignty, and national interest. In energy, Iran holds some of the largest oil and gas reserves in the world. A free Iran will become a reliable energy supplier to the free world. Policymaking will be transparent. Iran's actions will be responsible. Prices will be predictable. In transparency and governance, Iran will adopt and enforce international standards. Money laundering will be confronted. Organized corruption will be dismantled. Public institutions will answer to the people. In the economy, Iran is one of the world's last great untapped markets. Our population is educated, modern, with a diaspora that connects it to the four corners of the world. A democratic Iran will open its economy to trade, investment, and innovation, and Iran will seek to invest in the world. Opportunity will replace isolation. This is not an abstract vision. It is a practical one, grounded in national interest, stability, and cooperation. To achieve this, now is the time to stand with the Iranian people. The fall of the Islamic Republic and the establishment of a secular, democratic government in Iran will not only restore dignity to my people, it will benefit the region and the world. A free Iran will be a force for peace, for prosperity, and for partnership.
وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته ایم قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه روبروم یه واژه یه هدف به نام انتقامه پشت سرم دعای مادر و تو دستم تفنگ بابامه رو زبونم اسم شاه بگین عشق بی انتهاست هر جا اسم ایران اومد اونجا صدای بچه رضاست فردا می نویسن تو کتاب قصه دیمار بگو با تیر جنگی کشتن بچه های بیگناه رو بگو از بخت مادرها شیر زنا و دخترامون بگو تنها شهید شدیم تا تنها نمون شامون وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه آمون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه آمون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه آمون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه
سلام من به تو یار قدیمی منم همون هوادار قدیم
سید سلام چطوری مردک کلی کتلت شدین دایی بدون مدرک سلام بسیجی قهرمان رفتی پیش توسی با پنیر و یه نون سنگک سلام به محفل قرآنیتون سلام به مدیرای بحرانیتون سلام به حاجی اکبر و طوله هاش و خارج و رفقای ارگانیتون سلام به دزدای پول ملت که تش میفتین توی تور ملت سلام به همه شما کرکسایی که دارین نونتون رو میزنین تو خون ملت تا که تش زیر دست و پاک و تک بخورین حالا هی به یه بادکنک بدوین سلام آخر تو زندان باشه وقتی قرار به این آب خنک بخورین مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا اینو بگذاریم به خاک میرسیم تجزیه طلبی که به خاک بیرسیم ایران مردمش وطن پرستن از کرد تا بلوچ بری به فاک میرسی توف به هر چی مرسی است توف به هر کی در پی تجزیه است توف به لوی و همونی که شیفته ی گل ملیگران تو وطن خدا نسلی هست سر کردستان همه برپا شدن بلوچستان فدای مهسا شدن شم واحد که شیر و خورشید ما بقی جعلی ها تنها شدن شادی باشه واسه همه در میهن کور بشه چه شهرچی اهریمن رخه رو بگید اون 6 کلاس سواد و خبرگان و مجد سری ترجیحن شبهای عروس و دامادی باشه برن سلامتی نوش کنن آبادی باشه لحظت کجاست میدون شهیاده به سمت اتوبان آزادی باشه سلام به نسل ندید پدیدا نبودیم ندیدیم قدیمتی ما شاه بود تو شادی کل میزدین حالا شاه بر میگرده پیک میزنین مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا
فاهنگ به این خوشگلی با نایده بود اسم این مشخواهن رو توش بیاریم ولی خب لازم بود دیگه فکر کنم با نایده
Right! Let's go. میخوام بگم از دلم، از عشق به این میهنم، به امید روز شکست دشمن شاه برمیگرده به وطن. برگشتن پهلوی، وحشت هر اجنبی، بلند بگو همشهری شاه رضا پهلوی. نظام رسیده پرتگاه، بلند بگو جاوید شاه. برگشت شاه به میهن، دوای درد وطن. این آخرین نبرده، پهلوی برمیگرده. داره میاد پهلوی، زجه بزن سید علی. راه نجات وطن، پهلوی هموطن. ایران میشه گلستان، شاه که بیاد به ایران. ایران که شاه نداره، حساب کتاب نداره. آخون باید گم بشه، توپ تانک فشفشه. گم شو بیرون اجنبی، داره میاد پهلوی. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن ها. ما شاه میخوایم نه ملا، بزار بشنوه دنیا. ایرانی داد بزن، شاه تو فریاد بزن. برگشتن پهلوی، وحشت هر اجنبی. بلند بگو هموطن، شاه رضا پهلوی. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. بلند بگو جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. بلند بگو جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه.
Look at us here today. We see so many flags representing so many nations. We know we are not alone, and we thank you for being with us. For all people around the world who stand today in unity with the Iranian people, this is not just because it's good for us, and you do it out of compassion and care for our rights to liberty and justice and equality and human rights. But understand that it is in your best interest too, to have, unlike this regime that has been propagating terror and radicalism, we the people of Iran are peacemakers and not warmongers. We like to be friends, especially with the free world. We'd like to be able to have the best neighborly relationship with the people of our area and the region, with the Arab countries, with Israel, and all our other neighbors. We are fighting for justice, we're fighting for human rights, we are fighting for liberty, we're fighting to put an end to all sorts of discrimination. Because as an Iranian, I stand here to tell you that I've dedicated 47 years of my life because I think that my country deserves far better than what we have right now. To now understand that their best remedy is to support the people of Iran, because ultimately a free Iran will be your best partner, not just to bring stability and peace, but it will be in your best economic interest and opportunities. Together we can prosper again, and the world will be so different once the Iranian people are free. I am here to guarantee a transition to secular democratic future. I am committed to be that leader of transition for you, so we can one day have the final opportunity to decide the fate of our country through a democratic, transparent process, through the ballot box and free elections. And let's make sure that this time, especially the free nations of this world and their governments, stand on the right side of history.
Well, Durud Patriots, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to day 179 of Iran Revolution Live. And boy, do we have a jam-packed show for you today. Before I begin, I just wanted to wish all Canadians a very, very happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. And in honor of Canada Day, I'm not wearing my regular outfit. Instead, I'm wearing an I Love Canada tank top. So there you go. And I am Canadian, proud Canadian. And you can see the maple leaf right there. So that's the symbol of Canada. So happy Canada Day to everyone who is celebrating. All right, let's get right into it because there is so much news and information happening. So we're going to begin with a message from His Royal Highness, the Shah of Iran and the leader of Iran's National Lion and Sun Revolution, His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi. Let me pull this up here for you guys. So he posted this about 3 hours ago. And let me actually, you know what I want to do? Let me change my settings here so I can make this. There we go. There we go. So His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi posted a few hours ago, with the end of the Islamic Republic's team's participation in the FIFA World Cup, what will remain etched in the memory of us Iranians from this event is the presence of our compatriots who transformed the World Cup stage into an opportunity to honor the immortal memory of our homeland's undying heroes, to display Iran's national flag bearing the lion and sun, and to carry the voice of our nation to the world. I am grateful to all of you who, with unity, dignity, and national splendor, inside and outside the stadiums, in the streets, in the media, guys, that's me, in the media and across social media, kept alive the name of Iran and the memory of the fallen children of our land. You have once again shown that Iran is not the Islamic Republic, and the true team of Iran is its people who stand for freedom and the reclamation of their country and who sacrifice their lives for it. I believe that in the not too distant future, athletes who stand in solidarity with the people of Iran will represent our sports teams in global competitions under the national flag of Iran, bringing honor to our country. Until that day, we must continue to seize every opportunity, including the ongoing World Cup matches, to amplify the voice of the Iranian people to the world, especially in these days when the Islamic Republic is preparing itself for fabrications and propaganda spectacles surrounding the burial of the chief criminal, Ali Khamenei, while still striving to keep the truth concealed. Guys, there is a lot of drama, rumors, and gossip around the entire burial plans of Ali Khamenei. And Morad Vaisi has actually spoken quite a lot about this. And I've translated a few of the things that he said, and I will share them with you a little bit further down. Let me just actually do something here. I'm not really liking this layout. Why am I so tiny? I feel like I'm like a mini Goldie. Like, what's going on here? Let's see. Let me try this one. Wait, let me see what I'm doing here, guys. Let me figure this out. Let's see if this works. Let me try this one. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so much better. Let me just fix the screen here. There we go. Oh my gosh, wow. Guys, this is like night and day. Look at this. Wow, oh my gosh, this is so much better. Now it's like you can actually see me. I'm not like a tiny little box on the screen. So there you go. Yeah, I went from mini Goldie to like regular Goldie. Yeah, there I am. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, now that wait, let me just save this layout here because I really like this one. This is a good one. All right. Wow. Okay. I felt like so tiny, and now I feel like like a regular sized person. Okay. So this was a message from His Royal Highness. Now, I have spoken quite a bit about FIFA. I've spoken about how the Islamic regime team, they don't represent the Iranian people. They represent the Islamic regime. And in fact, many of them are affiliated and linked with the Islamic regime. And I shared some videos with you as well a couple of days ago in the previous live stream. So I now want to go to a quick update from Fox News about the so-called peace talks or negotiations that are happening in Qatar. And Mark Levin actually made a very good comment a couple of days ago on X. He said something along the lines of, why are we trusting Qatar? Qatar is literally a terrorist state. I've done live streams in the past on how Qatar is spending billions of dollars to infiltrate and indoctrinate young, vulnerable minds in Western countries, specifically the United States. I find it very, very weird that so much reliance or trust is being given to Qatar. Remember, Qatar literally supports the Islamic regime. Qatar supports Hamas, right? Remember when the genocidal massacre of Jewish people happened on October 7, 2023, the Hamas leaders were in Qatar. And they were there for years until Israel went and, boomed them, right? So let's go to this video because I really want to share this. And then after this, we're going to get into some more stuff. I want to focus more on Iran, but I find this very interesting. Watch this.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst joins us live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Special envoys Kushner and Witkoff held meetings in Doha, Qatar on Tuesday. These talks were aimed at advancing the memorandum of understanding with Iran and entering into the next phase of these negotiations. Also keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. Technical talks on the nuclear issue will move forward as planned today as traffic does continue to increase in the strait.
Our position has been crystal clear since this has begun. The movement in the strait should not be hindered by any logistical or security management method. We believe that the strait is a natural occurrence. It's open. The international maritime laws are very clear on this.
U.S. mediators remain confident that the current framework could lead to Iran making nuclear concessions. The 60-day window was discussed overnight when Vice President J.D. Vance appeared on Fox News.
It's going to take sometimes the carrot and the stick here. But Laura, I actually think that the United States is in a great position, however the negotiation ultimately shakes out. If the negotiation is successful, which obviously we want it to be successful, you have an Iran that is permanently transformed. That's a great outcome for the American people.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't mean any disrespect to the Vice President of the United States. There is no way. There is literally no way that the Islamic regime can be reformed through talks and through negotiations. Like that is absolutely, like, to me, that's like an actually insane thing to say. If the Islamic regime could be reformed through talks and negotiations, do you really think that the Islamic regime would have slaughtered over 40,000 innocent unarmed Iranians back on January 8 and 9 when they were marching peacefully in the streets, chanting, "Down with the Islamic regime, we want freedom, we want democracy, we want the Shah of Iran to return"? For 47 years, the Iranian people have been trying to overthrow the Islamic regime peacefully. And for 47 years, every single time that they've tried, they've been brutally quelled, slaughtered, murdered, raped, tortured, executed, buried in mass graves. I really don't understand how anyone can actually think that a bunch of savage jihadi terrorists who chant death to America and who are literally threatening the assassination of President Trump. Remember, guys, let me go back and share that magazine newspaper cover from yesterday. Okay? Remember this? This is an image that was published in an Islamic regime newspaper yesterday. That Islamic regime newspaper is called Hamshahri, and this is literally on the cover of the page, right? Like they're like this image of them threatening to assassinate President Trump. And, the main article is "Revenge is certain." So if this is the narrative that the Islamic regime is promoting and propagating inside of occupied Iran, do you really think that anyone who is negotiating right now is going to be honest and truthful? And think about it. Do you actually think that a terrorist group, terrorist organization like the Islamic regime that literally has been chanting death to America and calling the United States the Great Satan for the last 47 years, do you actually think that they're reformable? Do you actually think that, they're going to come to the negotiation table and be like, you know what? We've had like an awakening, and oh my gosh, I just suddenly realized that for the last 47 years, everything that I've said and done is wrong, and we need to make peace with the United States. Remember, if their lips are moving, they're lying. Whatever the representatives of the Islamic regime are saying at the negotiation table, it's a lie. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again. The Islamic regime measures success in terms of survival. Every single day that the Islamic regime lasts, every new day that the Islamic regime is still around, they view that as a success, because that means that's one more day for the Islamic regime to export their revolution. Because the revolution, their Islamic revolution, their jihad, it didn't end in 1979. Their Islamic revolution, their jihad began in 1979. And so, I don't know, maybe someone needs to send this image to JD Vance or President Trump. And, I even have the original version of that as well. Let me just pull that up for you guys really quick. So this is the original screenshot. So if anyone is like, oh, well, we want to see the original, here you go. This is the original. The one that I shared with you was, just translated so that you guys could read it in English. But yeah, this is the original version. So I don't know, maybe someone should screenshot this and send this to JD Vance and ask him, like, do you think that these terrorists who are literally threatening the assassination of your superior, the President of the United States of America, do you think that you can reason with them through talking? Like, these people are not rational, normal, logical state actors. These people are literally 7th century inbred terrorists. But anyways, I digress. Let's continue. I just wanted to point that out because just what JD Vance said, like I respectfully disagree. And I'm not going to lie, after 47 years of us Iranians trying to explain to the world and show the world that the Islamic regime is not repairable, it's not reformable, right? It is what it is. It's savage, wild demon. I mean, no one, like during World War II, no one spoke about how, if we just make peace with Hitler, we can reform the Nazis. Just the sound of it is insane, right? The thought of that is insane. So why the double standard? During World War II, everyone knew that the only way to get rid of Nazi Germany and the threat it posed was to exterminate them, eradicate them. But now, for some reason, with these modern day Muslim Nazis, the Islamic regime, and all their terrorist proxy groups. Anyways, let's see what happens here.
It's going to take sometimes the carrot and the stick here, but Laura, I actually think that
the carrot and the stick? Okay.
States is in a great position, however the negotiation ultimately shakes out. If the negotiation is successful, which obviously we want it to be successful, you have an Iran that is permanently transformed. That's a great outcome for the American people. It's a great outcome for the whole region.
So the only way that I can see what JD Vance is saying here be accurate in any way, shape, or form is if the negotiations are based on those 5 principles that President Trump has always spoken about, right? Those 5 principles are 1, the ending of the Islamic regime's nuclear program. 2, removal of the uranium dust, the nuclear dust. Number 3, stopping support for its proxy terror groups in the Middle East. Number 4, ending its ballistic missile program. And number 5, reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Those are the 5 terms. Those are the 5 non-negotiable terms that President Trump has constantly and consistently focused upon. If that's what is currently being negotiated, if that's what the Americans are pushing, then I would say that I actually agree with what JD Vance is saying. Because if the Islamic regime agrees to those 5 terms, then the Islamic regime is effectively weakened to the point where the Iranian people will have a chance to overthrow them. But the Islamic regime will never agree to those terms. And so these talks aren't really going to go anywhere. And even if the negotiators there, let's say, agree on paper or in principle, do you actually think that the IRGC, the more radical elements of the regime, are going to agree and adhere? They're not. And we've already seen that because last week, the IRGC was attacking cargo ships and cargo vessels, and we saw how the United States, and rightfully so, responded. But anyways, let's just go back. Let's just finish this, and then I'll go to the next thing.
States is in a great position, however the negotiation ultimately shakes out. If the negotiation is successful, which obviously we want it to be successful, you have an Iran that is permanently transformed. That's a great outcome for the American people. It's a great outcome for the whole region.
The Wall Street Journal reports the Trump administration is still considering the possibility of military action if talks fail. The Journal reports the conversations have centered on whether the U.S. should abandon negotiations and resume full-scale attacks on Iran, the officials said, a move some of them describe as finishing the job. While not making a final decision, Trump has told aides he believes another round of full-scale attacks could derail diplomacy and hurt Washington's chances of ultimately dismantling Iran's nuclear program. Now, sources do tell Fox News the president prefers a diplomatic track here, but of course is keeping all options on the table to deal with the Islamic Republic. Guys?
All right, noted. Trey Ying's live for us in Tel Aviv. Trey, thank you.
Wow. So, I mean, I can tell you just, off the top of my head that the Islamic regime is never going to agree to dismantle its nuclear program. They're never going to agree to that, right? Anyways. Not only that, but, oh wait, I guess this is a bigger view. So the Islamic regime and their supporters are actually chanting death to Araghchi. So remember, this is who Araghchi is. Let me pull up the Boom Boom bingo sheet. This is Araghchi. He's a foreign minister, or whatever. And, you know, he's one of the negotiators. So he's one of the people that, you know, President Trump and the American administration are claiming is more reasonable. Keep in mind, he's also the one that snubbed J.D. Vance and didn't shake his hand, right? So we're going to watch a video where supporters of the Islamic regime are now calling for this guy's death because President Trump and the U.S. administration are claiming that he is agreeing to end the nuclear program. So let's go back to the Durkas and see how the terrorist jihadi supporters are reacting to this news. So they're saying Magbad Sazishgar, death to the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like Sazishgar. It's not like conciliator. It's like conciliation. Here, let me just pull it up really quick. The word is eluding me. Sazishgar. Yeah, compromiser. Compromiser. There we go. It's not sausage car. Yeah, compromiser. So they're chanting death to the compromisers. The compromisers being Araghchi and others. So they're in like some like, you know, whatever, like jihadi thing, you know those places where they go to like pray and beat their chests, and there's like a madda singing like jihadi durka music. You can tell it's there because of the, you know, demonic hell red lighting, right? And so while they're in there, they're all chanting death to the compromiser. Yeah, so they are. It's Ashura right now. So Ashura is like one of their, you know, celebrations or whatever, mourning ceremonies where they basically mourn the death of like one of the Arab warlords. I think it's like Ali or something. Let me just pull it up for you guys really quickly. So and like what they do is like they'll hold, you know, they'll like pray or whatever to like Imam Ali, like the one of the Arab warlords or whatever, and it's like a mourning period or something. Yeah. Oh no, it's Hussein. It's Hussein. For Shia Muslims, Ashura is a solemn day of mourning. It marks the anniversary of the Battle of Karbala in 680 AD. During this battle, Hussein, the grandson of Muhammad, his family and his companions were martyred after standing up against some other ruler. So basically, it's like back in like 680 AD, like, you know, two Arab warlords basically, you know, fought because each wanted control over like their jihadi durka, whatever. And then one of them was killed by the other. So now the side of the one that was, you know, killed by the other is like, you know, mourning the death of like some dead Arab warlord, right? Like that's basically what Ashura is. And I think I've shown that video. Like these people get really crazy when it comes to like Imam like Hussein or whatever. I think I've shown that video. Let me find it for you guys actually, where it's like this guy is like singing about Hussein, and then like he starts hitting himself in the head because like he's so upset about like the death of Hussein or whatever. You know what? I'm gonna have to find that for next time because it was like such a wild video, right? But let me see if I can find it actually, because it was a crazy thing. No, you know what? I can't find it right now. I'm gonna have to find it. Remind me for tomorrow. I'm gonna find it. But it's like the one where the guy is like singing about Hussein and then like the guy starts hitting himself in the head or something. Like, but you know what's really messed up about this is that these people right now who are like mourning some dead Arab warlord from like, you know, who died 1400 years ago, they're the same ones who have no problem murdering innocent unarmed Iranians, right? I mean, the people that you're watching in this video, these are the same ones who massacred over 40,000 innocent unarmed Iranians just 6 months ago on January 8 and 9, right? And keep in mind, not all of them are Iranian, right? There's a lot of non-Iranians here, right? Because the Islamic regime, it's a foreign occupation. So, yeah. So they're chanting in Persian, "Marg bar sazeshgar," death to the compromisers. So even as they're doing like their mourning or whatever, you can still hear them chanting in Persian, in Farsi, death to the compromisers. So like, what a weird religion, what a weird ideology, where like, you know, part of your religion is to call for the death of people. So just like very, very bizarre and messed up. Yeah. Someone is saying that this is in Iraq. It very may well could be in Iraq, probably in Karbala or Najaf or somewhere. No idea. But what's important here, the thing to keep in mind, the point of me showing you this video is that even as they're worshiping their dead Arab warlord who died like 1400 years ago in some fight or whatever, they're still chanting death to the compromisers, right? So they're chanting for the death of Araghchi and Ghalibaf here, right? So these two people, Ghalibaf and Araghchi, right? Because they're currently in the process of negotiating. Oh, come on, where is this here? There we go. Right? So there's Araghchi and then there's Ghalibaf. So yeah, welcome to their weird religion or whatever they call it, which I don't understand. Anyways, that's what I wanted to show you about that, which again goes to what JD Vance was saying, where JD Vance is like, you know, maybe we can reform them at the negotiation table. Really? Do you really think you can reform them? Because they're supporters, right? Even though these two might seem pragmatic, their supporters are not. And these two, they're only good at hiding their Durka. But they're just as evil and they're just as crazy as the rest of them. So, but here's the other thing as well. Now, what really always upsets me is when you have people like, you know, Tucker Carlson and others who go out and they say absolute garbage nonsense. Like, oh, the Islamic regime respects Christianity and Christians are not persecuted in occupied Iran. And oh no, Christians are free to, you know, protect their, you know, practice their faith or whatever, right? Not just Tucker Carlson, but all of the apologists for the Islamic regime will say this. But then behind closed doors, it's a completely different story. And I've spoken a little bit about the persecution of Christians in occupied Iran, specifically Iranian Christians, but I haven't really focused on it too much. And so I wanted to share this with you. Iranian authorities, Islamic regime authorities basically, have stepped up pressure on one of the country's few surviving Protestant churches, threatening to confiscate its valuable central Tehran compound and evict residents in what church leaders describe as the latest assault on Christian worship sites. Like, guys, it absolutely boggles my mind when people say things like, oh yeah, the Islamic regime respects all religions and, you know, all religious minorities are free. No, they're not. They're all heavily persecuted. This is what's actually happening. So this is the, you know, reality for Iranian Christians. And God forbid if you convert from, you know, Islam to Christianity, because the crime for apostasy is death, remember? So that's why, you know, the Islamic regime claims that 99.9% of Iran is Muslim, right? Because no one has a choice in the matter. Everyone literally has to write down, because in your passport and your birth certificate, right, you have to put in your religion. And everyone, you know, pretty much puts in Muslim so that the Islamic regime will leave them alone. The ones who don't are persecuted. Don't even get me started on the Baha'i people. I'm going to dedicate a whole episode to the persecution of the Baha'i people, Baha'i Iranians. They have absolutely zero rights. But let's see how the Islamic regime, you know, this regime that many people like Tucker Carlson claim is, oh, a safe place for Christianity and Iranian Christians, right? Let's see what's actually happening. So, this is the St. Peter Evangelical Church in Tehran, okay? Iranian authorities have stepped up pressure on one of the country's few surviving Protestant churches, threatening to confiscate its valuable central Tehran compound and evict residents in what church leaders describe as the latest assault on Christian worship sites. The St. Peter Evangelical Church, widely referred to locally as the Qavam Church after its location on Sieh Tir Street, formerly Qavam al-Saltaneh Street, has served Tehran's small Protestant community for nearly 150 years. 6 security forces went into the church and sat through a session, saying they wanted to identify people, said Sasan Tavassoli, a US-based minister with the Presbyterian Church in Iran. They said they'll return later to evacuate those living on the premises and take over. Established in 1876 by American missionaries on land granted by the Qajar monarch Nasser al-Din Shah, the church has long been a focal point for Armenians and Assyrians in Iran, whose numbers have dramatically declined under the Islamic Republic. Tavassoli noted the property's significant value. It's worth tens of millions of dollars, describing it as spanning several hectares of prime real estate in central Tehran. The Evangelical Church of Iran has issued an urgent appeal to the international community to intervene. Guys, where's the Pope? Why isn't the Pope speaking out on this? It's absolutely shameful to me that the Pope is, you know, anti-war, aka pro-Islamic regime, but where's the Pope right now? Isn't he supposed to be speaking out for Christians? I know he's, you know, Catholic, but come on, right? In a letter signed by the executive secretary of the Synod of the Evangelical Church of Iran in Diaspora, church leaders expressed severe distress and accused the regime of becoming increasingly emboldened since negotiations toward a potential US-Iran deal began. The regime is no longer afraid of the international community, the letter states. Again, guys, this is really important. So this is why we Iranians are saying no deal. No deal. Because when you negotiate with the Islamic regime, they view that as a sign of weakness, right? Like, the Islamic regime doesn't view appeasement or compromise as, okay, let's work towards a solution. The way that the minds of these savage, 7th century inbred Muslim jihadi terrorists operate is that they view compromise or negotiations or appeasement, they view that as weakness, okay? So the more you compromise with them, if you want to walk up to them and shake their hand like JD Vance tried to do, if you want to speak with them or negotiate with them, they view that as weakness because the language of politics and diplomacy in the Middle East is very different from the language of politics and diplomacy in Western nations. It's just a reality. It's just a reality. Like, you cannot take a strategy, a negotiation or diplomatic strategy that works in Western countries and apply that to the Middle East because it just, you'll fail. You'll fail. Anyways, let's continue. The authorities have already seized a 10,000 square meter garden belonging to the church, now reportedly occupied by 4 IRGC officials. A new deed has been issued in the IRGC's name, with church employees and members now deemed trespassers on what was historically their own property. Isn't that wild? Guys, like one of the foundational, like one of the foundations of, like, I don't know, a free democratic society is like land titles, land deeds, right? If you own land, if you own property, like, the government can't just come and take it away, can they? Do you see? The Islamic regime literally just issued a new deed for itself to take over this property that has belonged to the Presbyterian Church for, what is it, 150 years. So property that has officially belonged to this Presbyterian Church in Tehran for 150 years now just randomly doesn't belong to them anymore because the Islamic regime decided to just create a deed and put the land in their own name. Do you see how authoritarian systems work? This is how a totalitarian system operates. So, Tehran claims the church had improperly rented parts of the premises to its members. Wow. Wow. Do you see? Like, they come up with the most bogus excuses. Anyways, church leaders say the move fits a broader pattern of pressure on Iran's tiny Protestant community. The latest threats follow the destruction of the Evangelical Church of Mashhad on June 4th. See, guys? Did you hear about that in the news? Did anyone tell you that a month ago, the Islamic regime destroyed an evangelical church? No. The Synod's letter warns, it is clear that without a swift response to this crisis, we may be deprived of our last remaining church centers in the country. It calls for international action to halt the ongoing process of expelling Christians from their places of worship and the occupation and destruction of these properties. Iran's Christian communities, particularly Protestants who conduct services in Persian, have faced increasing restrictions since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Are you guys seeing a recurring theme here? Are you guys seeing a recurring theme when it comes to what happens when a brutal Islamic dictatorship is in power? How do you think Islam spread around the Middle East? Do you think Islam spread through brochures and pamphlets and cookies and chocolates? Do you think like a bunch of like Islamic missionaries came and knocked at people's doors and said, knock, 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 here's a pamphlet about Allah, and here's like some cookies, we're holding a seminar, come join us, right? Do you think that's how Islam spread through the Middle East? No. Islam spread through the Middle East through violence, through death, through torture, through rape, through the destruction of other religious sites, whether it was, Christian churches or, Zoroastrian temples or Buddhist temples or whatever the case might be. And then they murdered anyone who didn't convert. And what's happening here with this situation with this church? This is modern day jihad. You're literally seeing modern day jihad in action. Remember, prior to the invention of Islam 1400 years ago, the Middle East was majority Christian. With, Jewish people, the Iranians, we were Zoroastrian, right? But the Middle East was majority Christian. And then Islam was invented 1400 years ago, and a bunch of Arab warlords went around going, and like murdering everyone who didn't convert. I've spoken about that as well in previous episodes. Anyways, let's continue. While recognized religious minorities such as Armenian and Assyrian Christians have some protected status, evangelical and Protestant groups have repeatedly reported surveillance, forced closures, and property seizures. St. Peter's itself was earlier ordered to stop Persian language services. As one of the last functioning Protestant sites in the capital, the fate of the Qavam Church has become a symbol of the shrinking space for minority religious practice in the Islamic Republic. On a related note, I also want to share this with you. So I mentioned earlier that converting to Christianity in occupied Iran under the Islamic regime, that's a crime punishable by death. Instead, not even that. In fact, just leaving Islam, apostasy, is a crime punishable by death. That's in the religion. That's Sharia law. That's not even like an Islamic regime thing. That's like an Islam thing. Okay, so in Islam, if you are supposedly born a Muslim and you leave, you're an apostate, and the crime for that is death, execution. Did you know that the vast majority of Iranians are not Muslim? I would say the Muslim population in Iran is somewhere between, 20 to 30% maximum. And that's being generous. Prior to 1979, yes, the vast majority of Iranians were Muslim. They were secular Muslims, right? Just sort of Muslim in name only, not really practicing. But when the Islamic regime took over and imposed Sharia law, the Iranian people finally saw how evil Sharia law actually is. And after 47 years of Islamic oppression, the vast majority of Iranian people are done with it. Because we've seen the true face and the true nature of their religion, right? They murder us every day in the name of Allah and Islam and jihad. They murder us for the crime of muharebe, which is waging war against Allah. Yeah. So that's why the vast majority of Iranians are not Muslim. Small percentage are. And I would say that number is growing smaller every day. From my understanding, I would say the vast majority of Iranians are pretty much agnostic or atheist. We're culturally Zoroastrian. But given the fact that we've been, force-fed religion for so long, many Iranians are just tired of religion. However, there are two religions that are rapidly growing in occupied Iran. The fastest growing religion in occupied Iran is Christianity. Many Iranians are secretly converting to Christianity. The second fastest growing religion is, of course, Zoroastrianism, but Christianity is the fastest one. There are underground churches and underground Bible studies and Many recently converted Iranians have to practice their faith in secret. Think about all those stories of Christians in maybe the first 100 to 300 years, where many Christians had to secretly practice their faith and they were persecuted by others. That's pretty much what's happening in Iran. Iranian Christians, those who are converting, are heavily persecuted. And here's the story of one such Iranian Christian. So, Iranian Christian convert Ghazal Marzban has been sentenced to 9 years and 8 months in prison after authorities confiscated her Bible and Christian literature during a raid on her home in Tehran. Marzban, who converted to Catholicism 7 years ago, was convicted on charges including propaganda against the state and gathering and collusion against national security. During interrogations, she was pressured to admit that her Bible was being used for evangelism, a claim she denied, insisting the materials were for personal use. She was arrested in January and held for around a month without outside contact. Her husband, who suffers from Parkinson's disease and is also a Christian convert, relies on medication that has become difficult to access. This is the reality of Iranians. Not only does the Islamic regime murder us, they literally jail us for learning about Christianity and reading the Bible. Because according to the Islamic regime that's occupying Iran, if you are, if you have a Bible and if you have Christian literature, that is propaganda against the state and gathering and collusion against national security. And this is the regime that the Pope supports, right? The Pope goes around and shakes the hands of representatives of the Islamic regime. And yet this is what's happening to Christians in occupied Iran. Think about that. Someone should send this to J.D. Vance. Someone should send this to Pete Hegseth. Someone should send this to, all the major Christian groups and organizations in the United States. People should know what's happening to Christians in occupied Iran. Guys, this is what His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Iran, means. When in that video that he posted yesterday that I shared with all of you, the video where, he says that making a deal with the Islamic regime is against the ideals and values of the United States. This is what he's referring to. No one should be making a deal or compromising with a Muslim Nazi regime that is literally persecuting Christians in its own country. And if this is how they treat Iranians in occupied Iran, imagine what they're going to do to you. If they're willing to jail and torture Iranians for the crime of owning a Bible, what do you think they'll do to you if they ever have the opportunity or the chance to do so? Think about that. This is why we Iranians are always saying, don't negotiate with the Islamic regime, because they're irreformable, they're irreparable. They're not human. They're not normal, rational, logical state actors. This innocent Iranian woman, Ghazal in English is gazelle. So Ghazal has been sentenced to 10 years in jail for the crime of owning a Bible in her home. Think about that. So that's one thing I wanted to share about, the persecution of Christians and Christianity happening there. Wait, is this a new video? Okay, yeah, so we have a new video from, actually, you know what? This is a good segue into that. So we have a new video from His Royal Highness about the global week of action that's beginning on July 4th. So let's watch this together. I believe, let me see, is it going to be in English? Okay, I think this one might actually be in English because the subtitles are in Persian. So let's watch this together.
From July 4th to July 9th, as the regime attempts to hijack global attention with the staged funeral and the burial of the remains of the supreme criminal, Ali Khamenei, freedom-loving Iranians will take to the streets around the world as part of the global week of action for a free Iran. The regime chose to choreograph its propaganda to fall on America's Independence Day. Iranians will gather to show the world the true face of the regime.
Arvin Moradi, 14 years old. 14 years old.
And to honor the eternal memory of the fallen heroes of Iran's Lion and Sun Revolution, 6 months after their massacre.
Amir Hossein Sarbaz, 17 sale.
A massacre that murdered over 40,000 over 2 days. A shocking 14 Iranians a minute. The campaign will begin on July 4th with deep respect for America's Independence Day, with gatherings outside U.S. embassies in capitals around the world. These gatherings stand in solidarity with America's ideals of liberty, underscoring that Iranians are pursuing the same freedom first proclaimed on July 4th, 1776. A freedom the regime has tried to extinguish for decades. Inside Iran, our compatriots can also take part, while protecting their safety and keeping their identities hidden by recording videos at the graves of our fallen heroes, writing messages on walls, and using other creative methods to send their voices to the world. Stay tuned. More details will be announced soon.
So this is the English version of the video that I shared yesterday and translated for all of you. So I put the link in the chat, but wow, what a fantastic video. Oh my gosh, that gave me chills. And as you can see, the demonstrations, it's not anti-America, it's pro-America, right? We Iranians were pro-America. It's the Islamic regime that's anti-America. And the reason that we're holding this on July 4, starting it on July 4, is because keep in mind, the Islamic regime specifically chose July 4th to start their carnival circus funeral procession for the supreme dictator Khamenei, right? Isn't it weird that the Islamic regime is choosing to show its power and display, like, its supporters from, all these non-Iranian countries on July 4th? Yeah. But let's continue, because I have some very interesting news coming from inside of occupied Iran. So remember the video that I shared earlier, this one here, where is it? All the jihadis, this one. So all the Durkas who are yelling like death to the compromisers, right? So they're saying death to the compromisers being, of course, Araghchi and Ghalibaf, the ones who are negotiating with the United States. Something interesting happened yesterday. You know how I've always said that Islamic regime TV, media outlets, newspapers, whatever, it's all propaganda? There's no real, free shows or anything. Anything that comes on TV has to be approved by the Islamic regime because it's a totalitarian, authoritarian dictatorship, right? So this is actually something very interesting. And this happened yesterday to Ghalibaf, okay? This guy. So Iran's, or the Islamic regime's state broadcaster cut short a pre-recorded interview with Speaker of Parliament Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf on Tuesday, triggering protests from Parliament and speculation that politically sensitive sections had been censored. The interview was interrupted while Ghalibaf was explaining the mechanism for releasing Iranian assets abroad. Video of the broadcast shows his remarks being cut off abruptly, followed by a black screen before the channel switched to other programming. IRIB later said that the interview would continue in a second installment on Wednesday, adding that this had been announced in an on-screen ticker at the end of the program. Yeah, right. Do you really think that that's what it was? Oh, wait. Wrong tab. Those are my notes. But, guys, you saw my notes. See how organized and prepared I am? I do my homework. Okay, so let's just read this part again. So this is the explanation that they gave. The IRIB said the interview would continue in a second installment and that this had been announced. Okay, so apparently this was like some sort of predetermined thing. So let's see how predetermined it actually looked, because I have the footage. I have the footage for you guys, okay? So here's the footage of, oh, oops, not the notes. Guys, I don't mind showing you the notes. It's just not like aesthetically or visually pretty, right? So, but yeah, I got my notes. I do my homework. And I have some help as well. I have some help, and I do want to give a shout out to my team, guys. The Goldie Show, my YouTube channel is slowly growing, so I am starting to build a team of people, and I'm really excited about that. But let's continue. So this is the clip. So this is Ghalibaf here. Remember, this is Ghalibaf. Okay? Now, here he is. So, let's watch this and see what actually happens. Oh. Whoa, what is that? So, okay, so he was speaking. Guys, that doesn't look like a planned ending. He was literally in the middle of a sentence. He was speaking in the middle of a sentence, and then it seems like someone behind the scenes was like, right? Like, end it, cut it, and then they cut it, right? Look at this. Let's watch this again. So he's literally speaking, and then it pauses awkwardly. Look Look, they just paused it. They just paused it. And then it goes to like some mullah, and then they go into like this Durka.
این مشت گره کرده مردم حاضر باشه که با یک اشاره مدیریت.
Wow. Do you see how the Islamic regime operates? I'm very curious to know who gave the order to cut out Ghalibaf's speech. Because here's the thing. Here's what you need to think about with this. If Ghalibaf is negotiating on behalf of the Islamic regime, right? If Ghalibaf is claiming that he's in power and he's in control, why would someone give the order to cut off his interview mid-sentence? The Islamic regime is now censoring their own people. And if Ghalibaf is being censored by other factions within the Islamic regime, specifically those who control the media, right, their propaganda outlets, if Ghalibaf is being censored by the Islamic regime, do you think he actually has any authority or any power to, I don't know, make a deal on behalf of the Islamic regime? Wow. Oh yeah, okay, no, this is true. I was reading about this on Morad Vaisi, or listening to Morad Vaisi last night. So Baradar Jalili, Ma'avun Farhangi. Yeah. So apparently one of the people who controls the IRIB is the brother of one of the leaders of the other factions, and so they cut off Ghalibaf, right? So this is more of that internal Durka Game of Thrones, right? It's like the game of Durka. So one faction is now trying to silence the other faction. But here's the thing, the fact that Ghalibaf is being censored, how much control does he actually have? And do you think he actually has the authority to negotiate on behalf of the Islamic regime when he himself is being censored? Look at this. Look at that. And then they just like blank screen. And you know it's not like a technical difficulty because the ticker is still going, and these so-called live feeds are still going, right? And then and it just goes like some random, Durka jihadi propaganda video. So there you go. Oh, interesting. Guys, I have something even better for you. So I actually have, thanks to my my amazing team, so shout out to my team, I have the video of what Ghalibaf was saying with English subtitles, okay? So this is what he was saying right before he was cut off, okay?
من زیر سوال میکنم خریدهای قبلی که انجام میشده در طول 15 سال گذشته، تو دهه 90 و تو همین 1100 تا الان، هر کدوم از این دولت ها بودن خریدهای اقلام رو از کجا انجام میدادن؟ السیاش رو تو لندن وا میکردن یا نمیکردن؟ چرا حالا مهم شد؟ چرا یه حرف رو میزنیم؟ به خاطری که نمیخوایم بپذیریم توی تفاهم‌نامه افک باز شده، نمیخوایم بپذیریم محاصره برداشته شده. بابا این قدرت جمهوری اسلامی، لذتش ببرین، افتخار کنید، بیستید، مردم از فشار اقتصادی برداریم، ما با عزتی کار.
So let me just go back and I'll read the subtitles for you. So he says, where were the previous purchases of these products made over the last 15 years? He's like, were there letters of credit opened in London or not? Why has it suddenly become important now, and why are they saying these things? Because they do not want to admit that oil exports are carried out with OPEC's authorization. And then he continues and he says, this is the power of the Islamic Republic. The blockade is gone. People should be proud of what we have accomplished. So, guys, the Islamic regime is claiming that the blockade is gone. How true that is, I don't know, but there you go. So, this is what Ghalibaf was saying before he was censored by the Islamic regime. Now, I have some more Durkas for you. So, all is not well within the Islamic regime. And the Durkas are really, really going after one another. And they are attacking each other, right? Because they are not happy that Ghalibaf is supposedly making a deal with the great Satan. So let's watch this. Oh, wait, it's muted. Sorry. I'll play it once and then I'll go back and I'll read the subtitles for you guys. So he's saying, they killed your leader and they haven't even buried him yet. What are you doing? Right? So he's speaking. So this guy, he's speaking to Ghalibaf and Araghchi and the compromisers, right? He's saying, they killed your leader, Khamenei, and they haven't buried him yet. What are you doing? He's like, why don't you tell the truth? You even went and negotiated over the nuclear issue, didn't you? So remember, guys, when I told you that the nuclear issue is a hard line for the Islamic regime? They will never, ever agree to abandon their nuclear ambitions, right? Because even here, you can see supporters are calling out Ghalibaf and Araghchi, and they're saying, why don't you tell the truth? You even went and negotiated over the nuclear issue, didn't you? Like, why don't you say that you opened the strait before you had even received the money? So, guys, remember all the fake news about how the Islamic regime is claiming that they've received billions of dollars from the United States, but the Strait of Hormuz is still closed and controlled by the IRGC? It's actually the opposite, because the supporters of the regime are out there and they're publicly saying, why don't you say the truth? Why don't you say that you opened the Strait of Hormuz before you had received the money? So within the Islamic regime, everyone knows that no funds, no money has been released to the Islamic regime. It's like, why don't you say that all kinds of crimes are taking place in Lebanon every day? So guys, remember, this is code for Hezbollah. When the Islamic regime supporters mention Lebanon, they actually mean Hezbollah, right? Hezbollah is the proxy of the Islamic regime that's occupying southern Lebanon. The Islamic regime, they don't actually care about the real Lebanese people, right? But the same way that people mistake the Islamic regime with Iran, a lot of people will mistake Lebanon with Hezbollah. Hezbollah is not a part of Lebanon. Hezbollah is occupying Lebanon the same way that the Islamic regime is occupying Iran. But here, when he says the crimes taking place in Lebanon, he's referring to the IDF exterminating Hezbollah like the garbage terrorists that they are. And, I support that. I support the IDF, and I'm really happy that Hezbollah is being eradicated. So he's upset about that. He's saying, why aren't you talking about how the IDF is pretty much like destroying Hezbollah? He's like, if that is not your first condition, then why continue the negotiations, right? So basically, he's saying, if defending Hezbollah, you know, their terrorist proxy military group occupying southern Lebanon. He's like, if that is not your first condition, basically protecting Hezbollah, then why continue the negotiations, right? So the supporters of the Islamic regime are confused. They're angry. That's why they're chanting Marg bar sazishgar, death to the compromisers. The compromisers being, of course, Araghchi and Ghalibaf. They're not happy, guys. They're not happy. He's like, we are only authorized to say this much. We cannot open our mouths any more than this because it would cause disagreement and division. Ooh, guys, the game of Durka, right? It's escalating. It's starting to bubble. Like, they're really, really angry. And they're really starting to go after one another, right? And he pretty much admits it. And, like, this is how stupid they are. Like, he thinks that if he just says, we can't open our mouths any more than this because it would cause disagreement and division, the very fact that you're opening your mouth and you're admitting to the fact that you can't say anything, that in and of itself is going to cause disagreement and division. So by even speaking about it, you're contributing to the game of Durka. And guys, I just want to say thank you so much. I see all of your super chats. I will get to the question and comments in probably about 15 minutes or so. I always reserve the last half hour for, you know, questions and comments. So I will get to all of them. Thank you so much. There's just, guys, there's so much material to go through. And he's like, oh, and then in the video, you also hear someone saying Marg bar Munafiq, like death to the, those people who are against the Islamic regime, right? And then he says, you were owed $1 billion and they brought it down to you were owed $100 billion and they brought it down to 12 billion at the negotiation table. They also told us that we had $6 billion.
اومدن برای 12 میلیارد کشوندن پای میز مذاکره اونم گفتن 6 میلیارد.
And then, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And then they would give us soybeans, corn instead. So even the Islamic regime supporters, first of all, they're acknowledging that they're going to get the soybean and the corn, right? But even they are saying, like, what is this garbage deal? We don't want soybeans. We don't want corn. He's basically saying, we want nuclear weapons. We want to, we want to terrorize the Strait of Hormuz. We want to, we want to occupy southern Lebanon through Hezbollah. So even the Islamic regime, they don't care about corn or anything like that. However, what's really important about what he's saying here is that he's acknowledging that, the corn and the soybeans and whatever is supposedly going to be sent to occupied Iran, it's never going to reach the hands of ordinary Iranians. The Islamic regime is going to take it all. That's how a totalitarian Islamic dictatorship works. There you go. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to play the whole thing once again without audio, and I'm just going to read the subtitles for you. So he's referring to Araghchi and Ghalibaf, right? I think this is some sort of like town hall or, TV show or something. Anyways, so this guy's like, they killed your leader and they haven't even buried him yet. What are you doing? Why don't you tell the truth? You even went and negotiated over the nuclear issue, didn't you? Why don't you say that you opened the strait before you had even received any money? Why don't you say that all kinds of crimes are taking place in Lebanon every day? He means Hezbollah. If that is not your first condition, then why continue the negotiations? We are only authorized to say this much. We cannot open our mouths any more than this because it would cause disagreement and division. And then someone's yelling like death to the, infidels. And then he says, you were owed $1 billion. Sorry, you were owed $100 billion, and they brought it down to $12 billion at the negotiation table. They also told us that we had $6 billion. They would give us soybeans and corn instead. There you go. So, not all is well in Islamic regime Durkaland, and they are angry that Ghalibaf and Araghchi are not saying the truth. Now, here is an image. These are supporters of the Islamic regime, okay? And they are protesting against Araghchi and Ghalibaf, the compromisers, right? So here's this big sign that they're holding, and the sign translates to, you will take your conspiracy to undermine the authority of the supreme leader as the final arbiter to the grave. So apparently there's now this rumor starting within the supporters of the Islamic regime, right? There's this rumor that's been going around for a while, actually, but now it's gaining more and more momentum as these, negotiations continue with the United States, these so-called negotiations, that Araghchi and Ghalibaf are going to sell out the supreme dictator. They're going to sell out the Islamic regime. They're going to sell out the revolution so that they can remain in power. And so the supporters of the Islamic regime are saying that we see your conspiracy and we see that you're trying to undermine the supreme leader, the supreme dictator, right? Cardboard Mujtaba. We still don't know if he's alive or dead. Apparently, he's not going to be showing up to his dead dad's funeral on Saturday, which is a pretty bad look. But these people are saying, you're going to take your conspiracy to the grave. I mean, this is a threat. This is the supporters of the Islamic regime. These are the Durkas threatening Ghalibaf and Araghchi, right? There's always been, guys, so here's the thing. There's always been like internal divisions and, fractures within the Islamic regime. That's natural within a totalitarian, authoritarian dictatorship system like the Islamic regime. There's always been those divisions and factions and, one group vying for power over the other. The only reason that everyone stayed in their lane is because this guy, Khamenei, was alive. When the IDF, with the help of the United States, exterminated Khamenei like the garbage that he was on February 28, and thank you very much for that. We will always love you and appreciate you for doing that. When he was exterminated, that left a huge void, a huge power gap. And so all these, various factions and various groups, ever since then, have been competing and vying for power. And it doesn't help that the current supreme dictator, the cardboard one, it doesn't help that we haven't seen any proof of life. He may very well be alive. I mean, according to U.S. intelligence, he is alive. At least that's what Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, and I think even President Trump have said in the past. So he's alive. But I remember Pete Hegseth in one of his Department of War press conferences or briefings, he said that, yeah, he's alive, but very heavily injured, maybe possibly even disfigured. So he is very well probably alive based on U.S. intelligence, unless something, has shifted dramatically since then. But if he was of sound mind, or if he was not injured, or, if he was something, why haven't we seen him? Why is it only like written messages, right? It's very weird. In a day and age where, we have technology where you can literally, record a video on your phone and, just send it with the push of a button, you would think that, I don't know, the Islamic regime would put out a video of him, a video message, but there's nothing. And why is that? Not even an audio message. Very strange times, very strange times. But the fact that there's no proof of life for the current supreme dictator, that's contributing to the game of Durka. That's contributing to these various factions not only fighting even more, but they've now taken their fight from behind the scenes into the public realm. They're now openly fighting. They're openly calling for one another's deaths. They're openly chanting for the death of this or the death of that. They're censoring one another on Islamic regime state TV. Guys, these are the signs of a collapsing system. This is what you won't see in the mainstream media, but these are the signs of a system that is slowly collapsing and crumbling from within. Okay, let's go to the next one. Araghchi, meanwhile, Araghchi, the foreign minister, let's go back to give you guys a reminder. This one here, right? This one who's also part of the negotiations. He is now trying to save face and, probably save his neck, right? Because, like I showed you, the supporters of the Islamic regime are literally calling for the death of Araghchi and Ghalibaf. So Araghchi is trying to, I don't know, maybe save face or something. So here's what he posted. He said, the terms of the Islamabad MOU are crystal clear. First of all, it's not the Islamabad MOU. That's such a weird thing, but whatever. Are crystal clear and public for all to see. Wow, look at this. POTUS has committed the U.S. to muzzling its pets in Tel Aviv. If they ignore their master, Iran will school them. He means the Islamic regime. And any threat against our people and leadership will receive immediate, powerful response. This is in response to, I believe, oh gosh, I forget his name. He's the, who is he? He's the Ministry of Defense. I think he's Israel's Minister of Defense, if I'm not mistaken. So he was saying, yeah, it's Katz. Katz is Minister of Defense, I believe. So asked about Iran's supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, Katz said he was marked for death. Good. He described the Iranians as good merchants trying to extract concessions in negotiations and said Israel would not allow Iran to produce nuclear weapons. If they do it through an agreement, all the better, he said. So, Araghchi, and guys, I really want you to think about this. So, for all of those people out there, the people who, hate Israel and, they're just engaging in Jew hatred and, all these like disgusting conspiracy theories about, how Israel controls the world and, Jews control the world and, President Trump is beholden to Israel and blah, 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 right? All those people who claim that President Trump started this, boom boom operation against the Islamic regime because of Israel, right? Guys, even the Islamic regime, right, is pretty much denying the fact that Israel controls the world and that Israel controls the United States. Look at this. Araghchi is basically saying that, the U.S., the way that he says it, it's incredibly rude, but you get the point, right? He's basically saying if Israel ignores its master, aka the United States, then Iran, the Islamic regime, will school. And yeah, first of all, fat chance it's going to happen, right? Remember, this is a guy who claimed that they're developing nuclear weapons for peaceful purposes, or whatever. Like, this is all, what do we call it? It's like Goldor Bazi. Like, he's basically just talking tough, right? This is like an insane thing to actually say, but the reason I'm sharing it is because you can glean some very good information out of this. First of all, right, this counters the whole anti-Jewish conspiracy theory about how Jews control the world and Israel controls the United States, blah blah blah, because even they're denying that. Now, on top of that, he's saying that if the IDF attacks the Islamic regime, then the Islamic regime will school them. Really? Really? Buddy, they exterminated your supreme dictator like the piece of garbage that he was back on February 28, and you still haven't buried him. You're still afraid to bury him. This message is not really intended for Israel or the United States. This message is intended for the supporters of the Islamic regime, right? And all the bots. So he's putting this out there because he's trying to save his own rear end. Because the supporters of the Islamic regime are literally calling for his death. The supporters of the Islamic regime are claiming that Araghchi is part of a conspiracy to, undermine the authority of their supreme dictator, and that they're going to kill them for that. And so Araghchi is now posting something like this in order to be like, no, guys, no, it's cool, I'm on your side, guys, no, all good, nothing to see here, we, death to Israel, death to United States, blah, 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 right? Like, this is him trying to save his own rear end from being unalived by supporters of the Islamic regime. So that's the context behind this post, because we all know that the Islamic regime has no way to defend itself if the IDF or the US military were going to resume their attacks. So there you go. There's guys, I'm telling you, the fallout right now within the Islamic regime is wild. Okay. Now, in other news, going to now the funeral of the supreme dictator. And again, I love pointing out the fact that it's been 6 months and he still hasn't been buried, even though, within their own religion, when someone dies, you're supposed to bury them within 3 days, right? On the third day, you're supposed to bury them. And I showed you some footage of, the Khomeini's funeral yesterday. And guys, we are going to do a documentary watch party with the full documentary, because I want to watch that whole thing, because that was wild. But the Islamic regime is now trying to justify, or maybe explain, why it's taken so long to bury their beloved supreme dictator, right? This has subtitles, so just read along the subtitles in English.
من این رو خب تا حالا اعلام نشده، اینجا برای اولین بار اعلام میکنیم که پیکر مطهر امام شهیدمون و اعضای خانواده شهیدشون در کمال با نهایت تکریم و مراقبتی که انجام شده، با رعایت موازین شرعی و قانونی تا کنون محافظت شده.
Wait, what? Oh my gosh. So, okay. So he's basically saying that, the corpse of the, dead dictator and his dead family have been protected with utmost respect and care in compliance with religious and legal standards. Can anyone point to any sort of standard within Islam that outlines the standard of care for keeping a corpse in a refrigerator for 6 months? in like where does Islam actually say that, you know, or outline a standard or procedure for keeping a corpse in a fridge for 6 months, right? According to their own religion, you're supposed to bury the body within 3 days, not keep it in a refrigerator for 6 months. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat.
کنون محافظت شده و پیکرها نه به خاک سپرده شده و تدفین نشدند و به امانت هم به ودیعه هم گذاشته نشدند. لذا پیکر مطهر امام شهیدمون در روزهای برگزاری مراسم تشییع خواهد شد و شایعاتی که در فضای مجازی منتشر شده، به ویژه اخیراً امروز دیدم که تصویری منتشر شده در فضای مجازی که پیکر حضرت آقا در حرم حضرت معصومه به خاک سپرده شده.
So apparently there's a rumor that Khamenei's corpse has already been buried somewhere in the shrine of like Masumeh, like one of the concubines of one of the Arab warlords.
همه اینها اساساً
He's saying like that's false. So he's like, no, his corpse was not buried in like the shrine of like one of the concubines. His corpse is still in a refrigerator, which that makes it even worse.
کذب صحت نداره و هیچ کدوم از این مواردی که مطرح شده اعتباری نداره. خواهشمون هم از مردم عزیز ایران اینه که این شایعات توجه نکنن.
He's like, please, we're asking the dear people of Iran. He means the supporters of the Islamic regime. Don't listen to the rumors. Khamenei hasn't been buried yet. His corpse is still in a freezer somewhere. He has 6 months worth of freezer burn.
اطلاع رسانی های دقیق رو از طرف ستاد برگزاری مراسم
And he's like, we will give you accurate information.
میدیم.
Wow. So there you go. There's they're trying to, guys, this is honestly like, this is such a weird thing to even watch. Like, here's this guy who is basically trying to say to everyone, no, like, we haven't buried Khamenei's corpse yet. We've been taking care of it according to religious standards, which there is no standard within Islam to keep a corpse in a refrigerator for 6 months. In Islam, you're supposed to bury the corpse within 3 days, okay? So that's the first thing. So there literally is no religious or legal standard that exists for keeping a body in a freezer for 6 months. And then he goes on to say, and the rumors that he's already been buried in the shrine of like some concubine are false. He's still in a fridge. He's still in a fridge. He's still getting freezer burn. And we're going to announce all the details of the funeral ceremony shortly. And it's really interesting how they just totally gloss over the fact that he's been in a fridge. His corpse is in a fridge for 6 months, right? Because they're too afraid to bury him. This is the insanity. This is the insanity of the Islamic regime. Now, if you haven't already seen this, let's see. Okay, I'll have to save that for a different time. Let me go to, where was it? Okay. And the final thing that I wanted to share is this article. And I'm going to go to the super chats, the questions and comments right after, guys. But I wanted to share one more thing with you. So again, in further news, if anyone needed more proof that the Islamic regime is never going to make peace with the United States, aka the Great Satan, here you go. Powerful Iranian clerics, he means Islamic regime clerics, call for assassination of Trump and Netanyahu. Send them to hell. So, Iran's most senior clerics, I hate Iran, it's Islamic regime. Most senior clerics have called for the assassination of President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, declaring the leaders Mahdur al-Dam, or deserving of death. The 88-member Assembly of Experts, I mean, I don't know if like 88 of them are left though, because a lot of them have been boom-boomed. So guys, just for reference, this is the Assembly of Experts. So on the Boom Boom Bingo sheet, this is the Assembly of Experts here. So if you guys have been keeping track, guys, a new character, a new box has been unlocked, right? So now you have 88 new, Pokemons to collect on the Boom Boom Bingo sheet. So this is the Assembly of Experts. These are the, demon-looking ogres. I mean, look at their faces. Ugh. Look at them. Like, look how ugly they are. These are the, demons that are calling for the death of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Yeah, the Assembly of Experts. They mean like experts in, Islam and jihad and I don't know, whatever Durka nonsense, right? Experts in like, I don't know, being pedophiles or whatever they do in their weird cult. Anyways, let's go back. So the 88-member Assembly of Experts issued a 10-point statement in which they said, killing the wicked prime minister of the Zionist regime and the criminal American president was a religious duty that must be carried out under any circumstances. Guys, when they say religious duty, they're talking about jihad, right? It's modern day jihad. This is what I mean when I say the 1979 Islamic Revolution, it didn't end in 1979. It began in 1979 with the Islamic takeover, the Islamic coup d'etat of Iran. And ever since then, they've been using occupied Iran as a base to export their jihad around the world. So when they say, killing the prime minister of Israel and killing the American president is a religious duty, they're basically saying it's jihad. And this is the religious duty of all Shia Muslims. That's what they're claiming. And remember, these guys have a lot of non-Iranian supporters in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in the Muslim parts of India, in certain countries in Africa, right? So this is not, you don't have to worry about Iranians here, because we Iranians, we hate the Islamic regime. Less than 5% of Iranians support the Islamic regime. It's all the others, all the non-Iranians who are part of the Islamic regime and support the Islamic regime that you have to worry about. Remember, the Iraqi terrorist that the FBI arrested a few weeks ago, who was going to assassinate President Trump's daughter, right? He was part of the Islamic regime, but he wasn't Iranian, he was Iraqi. He was part of the Islamic regime's terrorist proxy force in Iraq, Hashd-e-Shabi. Or Kataib Hezbollah, one of them. I don't know, I can't keep track. He was part of one of the terrorist groups, right? So all these terrorists that you're seeing who are acting on behalf of the Islamic regime, they're not even Iranian. And this is why for us Iranians it's frustrating when, like the Pakistani guy that was arrested a few months ago, they were like, Iranian agent is arrested on terror charges, right? That's the headline. But then when you read the article, it's like, Pakistani born, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, how can he be an Iranian agent if he's Pakistani, right? He's not an agent of Iran. He's an agent of the Islamic regime, which is occupying Iran. Keep that in mind. Anyways, the clerics who are constitutionally tasked with choosing and supervising the supreme leader wrote that the call for their assassinations, that avenging the death of the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was of paramount importance. So there you go. There you go. The Assembly of Experts. The Assembly of Experts are calling for the assassination of the President of the United States of America. And they are saying that it is the religious duty of every single Muslim to assassinate the President of the United States of America. Does that sound like a system that wants to negotiate real, meaningful peace with the United States? Does this sound like a government? I use the word very loosely, that is, reformable, Remember, if their lips are moving, they are lying. So not only are they attacking Iranians, they're jailing Iranian Christians for the crime of owning a Bible in their home. They're murdering, raping, torturing, hanging Iranians every single day. Their infighting is becoming even worse. They're censoring one another on Islamic regime state TV. They're publishing magazine articles where the front page is, crosshairs or whatever, in front of President Trump. Now they're calling for the assassination of the President of the United States, and they're claiming that this is their religious duty to do so. This is not a system that's reformable, right? This is not a regime that you can negotiate with. The only way to deal with the Islamic regime is to exterminate them once and for all. That's the only way you're ever going to have peace in the Middle East. That's the only way you're ever going to end the threat to the United States, the threat to Israel, the threat to all peace-loving countries. As long as the Islamic regime survives, all of our lives are in danger because they are exporting their jihad around the world. This is why they want the nuclear bomb, because if they have a nuclear bomb, then they become untouchable. This is why they must never, ever be allowed to have nuclear weapons. All right, let's go to some of your super chats, questions, and comments. Thank you, everyone. So Amir the Cricket gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Amir. Appreciate that. And then a comment from Ari Yerushalmi saying jihad is bad. Okay, I agree. Jihad is bad. Never ever go full jihad. Never go full Durka. I agree with that. PC, oh, welcome, PC. Goldie, I just got back from a tour of Armenia. We got to within 3 miles of Iranian border. I saw Iran. Oh my gosh, wow. So you would have seen the northern part of Iran, which is definitely more lush and green. Wow, that's I'm definitely envious. Armenia actually used to be a part of Iran as well, way back when. So yeah, I remember actually a while ago you said that you're going on a trip to Armenia. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you had fun. Wow. Hopefully one day soon you'll get to see Iran from the inside. PC loves again. We met some Iranian Christian women on visas. Their passports expire in 2 months. They are terrified they will be sent back to Iran. So sad. Yeah, it's terrifying, especially since like I mentioned earlier, the Islamic regime is cracking down. They're cracking down on Iranian Christians, right? Where's that article here? This one, right? So let me just share this really quick. So yeah, the Islamic regime is cracking down on the Christian community inside of occupied Iran. So it is definitely terrifying. Laura McDonald, Goldie, I admire your passion and hard work for keeping us informed about the Iranian people. So happy you're back. Thank you so much. It's really great to be back. There's been some scheduling changes, and I have some new commitments that I have to take care of, which is why we're a little bit of a schedule change in Iran Revolution Live moving forward. The program's going to be from 3 to 5 p.m. so that I can meet my other obligations that I have. But I'm really excited to be back. And like I said, we're just getting started, and I have some exciting shows coming up for you as well. But yeah, this is the new time for Iran Revolution Live. It's from 3 to 5 p.m. so that I'm able to meet my other commitments and obligations as well. And thank you so much. It's really great to be back. PC Love says, Palestine is part of IRGC. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it was Yasser Arafat and the Palestinians who actually helped create the IRGC, if you didn't know that. Let me just bring that up for you. If you guys didn't know, I've spoken about this before, but here, let me just show you really quickly because this is really important. So, okay, let me just change my view here. Here we go. So, this article, guys, Arafat and the Ayatollahs. The PLO's single greatest contribution to it's not the Iranian revolution, it's the Islamic revolution. So, the PLO's greatest single contribution to the Islamic revolution was the formation of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But the Palestinian leaders' involvement with Iran didn't end there. Yeah, did you guys know that? The Palestinians are responsible for the creation of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. That's why there's no mention of Iran within the IRGC, because the IRGC, it's not even Iranian. It's a Palestinian thing. And they basically, helped to make it so that they could protect the Islamic regime and to basically prevent Iranians from reclaiming the country. So it's literally like the single biggest grift is this whole like fake Palestinian movement, because they have been claiming that they are oppressed by Israel. Meanwhile, the Palestinians created the mechanism, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that has actually been oppressing and murdering Iranians for the last 47 years. Yeah. And then this is how, this is what I mean when I say these people are colonizers, okay? They're colonizers. They've tried to colonize Israel. And since 1979, they've been trying to colonize Iran through their Islamic jihad and ideology. Like, just look at this. When Yasser Arafat arrived in Tehran on February 17, 1979, the first foreign leader invited to visit Iran mere days after the victory of the revolution, he declared he was coming to his own home. Really? So some Arab terrorist born in Egypt helped create the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. By the way, he helped Khomeini come to power. He sent Palestinian bodyguards to protect Khomeini. And then when this Arab terrorist guy from Egypt comes to Iran, which is native to Iranians, he says he's coming to his own home. And yet they have the audacity to claim that Israel is a colonizer. Yeah, no. That's how these people operate. They gaslight you and then they play the victim card. The only reason that they claim that they're oppressed in Israel is because they weren't able to eradicate the Jewish people. It's because Israel understands and recognizes that it has to defend itself against these invaders, against these colonizers. So, no, you make a very good point. Palestine is part of the IRGC because they literally helped create the IRGC. Okay, let's go back to Super Chat. And thank you so much for that, PC. David C4805 says, what was the song that used to be in the opening with the Persian orchestra and the drummer dude and the one with the Persian parade? Awesome music. Yeah, so you can find all of those videos on my YouTube account in my playlist. Let me just show you. So if you go to the playlist section. Oh, wait, this is the wrong one. Where's my playlist here? There you go. So let me just pull this up for you really quick. So if you go to my playlist section on YouTube, look for the playlist that says Iran Revolution Live videos and songs, and then you'll find the list here. So the one that you're thinking about is video number 3 and 4. I've added both of them there. The reason that I don't have them in the intro anymore is because they're copyrighted. This one is copyrighted music. And then this one, I keep on getting a copyright strike for the footage, which is ridiculous. But anyway, so you can find both of these in my playlist, Iran Revolution Live videos and songs. Sorry, Iran Revolution Live video/music playlist. So yeah, it's all there. And I have like a whole bunch of songs and videos and like other things that I've shared throughout the last 6 months. You can find all of it there. It's a pretty long list. And, you know, there's things that I've shared and things that I haven't. But yeah, that's where I would encourage you to go to find those videos. And thank you so much for the super chat and the question. Amir the Cricket gave a super sticker. Thank you, Amir. And then Stony Gen X with a super chat. Goldie, I just received my Lion and Sun flag from your shop and I love it. Oh, thank you. It's proudly displayed on my balcony for all to see. Hawatodaram. Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so great. Thank you so much, first of all, for the support. And thank you so much for sharing the Lion and Sun flag. That means so much to me. Wow. So kind of you. I'm so happy that you like the flag. You know, I've actually had, I've received a lot of positive feedback from people who purchased merch in my store. The one thing that everyone has said is that everything is like super high quality and they're very happy with the results. So I'm really happy to hear that, because the last thing, like I would hate to sell like low quality stuff, but no, like everything is, you know, high quality, you know, even the hats and everything. So yeah, like sometimes I wear my Make Iran Great Again hat, which I love, but thank you so much for that. You know, and it's, I'm actually honored that you're displaying the Lion and Sun flag. Guys, you know, that means so much, not just to me, but I can say on behalf of all of us Iranians, both inside and outside of Iran, it means so much knowing that we're not alone anymore. Because one of the ways that the Islamic regime has remained in power is by making the rest of the world think that we Iranians, we hate you. And if you think that we hate you, then you don't have any empathy for us or our situation. You think that we're all a bunch of, you know, jihadi, whatever. That's one of the ways that the Islamic regime remained in power for so long, because they tricked all of you into thinking that we hate you. And by doing so, no one ever bothered to pay attention to what was happening in Iran. And it's only now through social media and platforms like YouTube and X and Rumble and others that we're able to share the truth, and we're able to counter the billion-dollar propaganda network of the Islamic regime. That's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is you. It's all of you who have been tuning in, watching, not just me, but every single, you know, Iranian out there who is speaking out and raising awareness about Iran and the Iranian Revolution. The fact that all of you are tuning in and, you know, coming with an open mind and wanting to learn about, you know, Iran and, you know, what does Iran mean and what actually is Iran and what do Iranians think and say and what is it really like inside of occupied Iran? You're the other half of this equation. And I'm telling you, the fact that there's so much support for us and our fight to free Iran from this brutal Muslim Nazi dictatorship, you know, for the first time in 47 years, we Iranians, we feel seen, we feel heard. And for the first time, we don't feel so alone anymore. And that's very powerful. So I just want to thank all of you for that and for your continued support. And Stony, thank you for the super chat. And I'm so happy that you like your flag. And, I see the flag of America there, that I have like my American flag there as well. We love America. And, just never in a million years would I ever have thought that, I would receive a message from, an American and say, Goldie, like I'm waving, I have a lion and sun flag and I'm, proudly displaying it on my balcony. Like, guys, this is the worst nightmare of the Islamic regime. Remember, prior to 1979, Iranians and Americans, we were allies. We were very, very close and very strong allies. And we both shared an enemy, and that's the Islamic regime. And I cannot wait until the Islamic regime is overthrown and Iran is free and we can welcome Americans back to our country with open arms. And we can't wait. We can't wait. But, thank you so much for the support. Wow, you just gave me so much energy right now and motivation. Chadalus gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And Laura became a new member. Thank you so much, Laura. Welcome to Goldie's Gang. Wow. Okay, guys. So this was so great. And I just want to say I'm grateful to all of you for tuning in and for joining me on day 179 of Iran Revolution Live. Once again, happy Canada Day to everyone who is celebrating. And I will probably see you guys later tonight for an evening edition of The Goldie Show, where we're going to focus a little bit more on the broader geopolitical side of things. As always, stay safe out there. I'm Israel Chai. God bless America. Javid Shah and Payande Iran. I'll see you guys later.
غرق انقلاب است. کشور ما، تاریخ ما در سیدگر فرا گرفته، گویی اهورا مستا دوباره در نور خود مرا گرفته. اکنون سرودی سر میدهم باز فارغ از رنج و تشویش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. هن ای پدر، هن ای پسر، برخیز و باماش و همگام تا درد آن تجربه تلخ ما را نکشیده در آب. بگذار هر دم بغرند گرگ‌ها دم لباس میش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ای کارگر، ای برزگر، راحت کنون ادامه دارد در این زمان که پرتو یزدان از هر سو بر تو میبارد. پس پیش به سوی آزادی از بحر خزر تا کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. خلق‌ها به پا بهر دفاع از استقلال و آزادی تا بشکنیم پشت ارتجاع تیریزی ویران آبادی. تا زنده سازیم سنت‌های می از بر آیین و کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. با امید روز
روزی که تمام این دلبشو و انقلاب تموم بشه و ما در روشنایی، نور و سعادت مردم کشورمون غرق بشیم.
نه خارجی نه بیگانه، نه مستشارهای ویرانی، نه چیر خاران نه کاسلیسان، فقط هم رزمان ایرانی.
بابا شرافت میهنی بسازی بهر فرزندان خویش.
ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.
ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.
مردم بیایید داخل صف ما، اکنون که آغاز رویاست. دشمنان بدانید ما زنده هستیم، بعد از ما هم ایران پابرجاست. آن روح شیطان ما را فریب داد با صد شعار مردمیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.
ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.
پرچم ما پرچم ایران غرق خون شهیدان، روی شانه هامان هم میکنیمش در هر خیابان و میدان. تا ماسک دلقکان را برداریم از روی تسبیح و ریش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.